I was 12 in Chicago. So I was 13. He took me to Kmart, and he said, I found something that I think you'll like for your sign kit. And he bought me this Shakespeare tackle box. And he said, you're probably going to be the first person with a worm-proof, because it said worm-proof on it, worm-proof sign kit. And I was like, yeah, really? And I spray painted it silver. You might have seen it. And I busted the handle off after years. And it was kind of, I love it because it's perfect for me and what I've used it for. Now, because it's plastic, I noticed that over the years, and it's taken a long time, there's maybe a little crack in the bottom and some oil will leak through it. So I have to really keep it clean and make sure that nothing spills at all. So my dad did this for all of his apprentices. He gave his oldest apprentice his drop front, his own personal drop front sign kit, which he had for a long time, but he went down and bought another one back when McLogan Sign Supplies in Los Angeles sold these. They sold kits like this, they sold the smaller kit, and they sold the drop fronts. And they were all this wood covered with like a black, I guess it's paper, like a wallpaper stuff. I'm not really sure what that is. But when you get a kit, this is what my dad told me. He says, you don't stand on them, you don't sit on them. Now that did change with my tackle box, because that thing is like, now, I wouldn't stand on it now because I'm too big and I couldn't do it. But back then, I could, until I was like maybe 230 pounds, easily use it for to get a little bit extra height if I didn't want to get a ladder out. But as far as, and he also said don't put paint in them, which seems weird because it's a sign kit and we're going to put paint in it. Unless they're the little cans of paint that you're using. You really don't want to carry your paint around in a sign kit because a sign kit, look at this one. Open this one up and check it out. That is, there's really no brushes. Yeah, there's no brushes. This is a kind of a hip roof. It has latches on the side, and it has these, I'm assuming that was like enamel, baked enamel.
Yeah, it is.
And take the little folder thing out. There's a thing in there that was written. This was Larry McLaughlin's sign kit, and he owned a sign shop in Oakland that a lady named Leslie Wood, she bought that sign shop. Okay. And how good are you at reading stuff? Because I'm not that good at reading things.
Very slow.
Okay, I'll read this. So it's just a sort of a history of Larry McLaughlin by his apprentice Leslie Wood. Larry McLaughlin and sign painting, a few recollections. Lawrence McLaughlin had been a sign painter, gold leaf artist, show card man, and poet for many years. I don't know his entire history, but remember his stories of lettering show cards for the hotels and resorts in Miami Beach, Florida, and of painting high on scaffolds in New York City. He once shared a story of painting a sign on a building 35 stories up with an apprentice helper. And I'll preface this by saying Larry was deaf. Oh, wow. So he wasn't born deaf, but he was deaf a little later. He felt the scaffolding shudder, looked around, and looked down to find his apprentice falling. It shaped his life from that moment on. He obviously died. Yeah, that's rough. Yeah. Larry was entirely deaf from childhood, although I found out later that it wasn't born, but it was gradual. Yeah. He refused to learn sign language and was determined to read lips. When he bought the business, this posed a challenge. I first hired on a few months after Larry had purchased the Hamilton Sign Company in Oakland, California, as a sign painting business which had been in continuous operation since 1924. He had someone to answer the phones and relay messages, take orders, etc. He needed somebody to answer the phones. I was just out of college with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Painting in 1980 and looking for something to bridge the gap until a better job came along. When I worked into the large shop, when I walked into the large shop and saw several men on stools painting vans for the local Ford dealer, I was hooked. They all held a tool I had never seen called a maul stick. That was 39 years ago. There were very few women in the field and none that I had met. I answered phones and helped Larry as best I could with the usual training as you go or learn by your mistakes. Since training was a luxury, but I took to the business so readily and enthusiastically, Larry asked me if I would be interested in joining the local Union 510 and an apprenticeship. I jumped at the chance. For 4 years, I practiced every night at home with show card brushes and large poster paper sheets until I could easily letter 3 fonts: Gothic, Roman, and casual script. One of my jobs was to take the old 1969 Ford pickup to the lumber yard, load 60 sheets of bare MDO 4x8 plywood, drive it back to the shop, and alone carry all one by one to stock them in the back of the shop. That's a lot of plywood, by the way.
A lot of plywood.
Yeah. San Francisco, Oakland area is very busy. I think that was akin to the physical test requirement in firefighting, except it was in the sign world. They want to make sure you can physically do the job. Carry extension ladders, tool kits, plywood panels. I was essentially managing the shop by 1983. Larry taught me some gold leaf basics. I taught myself more by reading Kent Smith and going to Rick Lawson workshops. And I learned about silk screening, making and silk screening. About show cards and banners, how to design a sign and make patterns, how to rough out a layout quickly and efficiently with a Stabilo pencil, how to care for brushes and paints, how to mix by eye, how to build structures and handle tools, how to estimate and handle a customer, how to cleanly paint walls, and how to safely load extension ladders, toothpick stages, and ladder jacks. I did have one little mishap with the ladder jacks, I will admit. I had forgotten to take the ladder jack down after painting a wall, and while lowering the extension ladder, the jack fell from 18 feet and hit me square on the scalp. I can still hear the clang. But after some stitches and what seemed like a lot of blood, I was back at work at shop the next day.
Oh my God.
Leslie.
Question?
I know. By 1987, I was waiting to buy the business. Larry was 65, and I knew he may want to spend more time painting and writing poetry. So in April, we signed the papers, and he generously allowed me to pay him $500 a month for 12 years to own it outright. I just knew it was where I was meant to be. How many folks can say that? It's now 2019, and I have handed the business over to another. All things happen as they should. I will always be a sign painter, as I know I was always meant to be a sign painter. This kit is my first sign kit. Larry had it as his first sign kit. He passed it on to me, and now it's time to pass it on again to another person who feels the passion for this age-old craft. Honor the old paint and varnish stains, and it will give you much in return. Paint on, Leslie Wood, sign painter. And this is my absolute pleasure to give you this kit and all of this stuff that goes with it. Now, there's some more things that go with it that I'm going to add to it. There's a list of things that you can also, that I put together for you. Congratulations, you now have your very first sign kit.
Yay!
Yay, Sam! This was very unexpected.
Well.
Now I'm tearing up.
Aw, me too.
Aw.
You're not the only one. There's a thing about Larry, a little bit about Larry McLaughlin and his obituary and stuff in here too. So there you go.